issue of domestic violence is a complicated one for a lot of families. You know, people you care about, people you love, victimizing their own family members, sometimes yourself, sometimes your parents, your children, and it's difficult to have that conversation. When I was a kid growing up, you know, I adored my parents, but saw my father, inflict violence on my mother. And it's a difficult thing to go through when you see somebody that you care about, people you care about, causing that kind of pain. Not knowing who to reach out to, what to do, you know, feeling that the world was closing in on us. The mental, instability that happens to people, to folks who are going through that, you know, I witnessed it myself.
My personal experience with it started when I was very young. I was in a relationship in high school, and those are the types of relationships that should be very safe. Mine was not a safe relationship. I was 13 when I started dating a guy that was 18. I was with this guy for 3 years and endured a lot of things, and it generally starts, in my experience, with more of a mental abuse. Nobody knew about it. You hide it. You get very good at hiding things. And it finally got to the point where I was just very fearful all the time. And the threats of leaving, if you leave, I'll kill you. Those are things that nobody should have to endure, but especially a child, and I was a child.
Dignity Health as a hospital system has 43 hospitals, and they decided as an initiative a number of years back to take on human trafficking system-wide. Everybody's been trained, and protocols have been written and developed for the identification and potential intervention for human trafficking patients, and that's incredibly important. In the last 6 months, I've probably seen 75 new patients. That's scratching the surface of the prevalence in our community. That's the ones that have actually been recovered. I've told people we're going to find a 13-year-old being sold for sex within 30 seconds, quarter mile of us right now. Everybody pull out your phones, and we can do it. I mean, usually it takes about 15 seconds. Go on Backpage, go to California, scroll to Sacramento, scroll over to Women for Men, click on it. You have a Craigslist-like view of hundreds of listings. And if you go through that list of hundreds and click on them, my opinion, about a third of them look like they're between 11 and 16. And so the concept here is being able to collaborate with organizations. So if they get a victim into their safe house, last night, they can bring them into our clinic this morning. It establishes a medical system where the victims themselves feel a sense of safety.
I think it's very important that these services exist because the problems that we face are not singular, they're complex. And so having coalitions and various groups coming together to try and tackle a variety of now what have become national issues, domestic violence and human trafficking. But I think it starts right in the community. In my own case, it was 30 years later. When I discovered that the lingering sadness I had in my own life was due to having been abused. And now having 3 children of my own, as a man, I recognize that, number one, I cannot teach my children to solve their problems non-violently if I am violent with them. Patterns of domestic violence are learned. Patterns of what it looks like to be a man are learned. They're passed down. Someone said, if you want to be a man, you've got to see a man. So I think what men need to do is recognize the power that they have to reason, first of all, with themselves. Just to reason with yourself and say, this is not the kind of man I want to be. There are some greater values that I have, and I want to reach for those. It takes a group of selfless collaborators to come together to deal with what essentially looks like a bottomless pit in what are often midnights for many people that they will never know that they've impacted, we say thank you. We owe you a debt of gratitude, and I say very well, carry on.